Hi everybody, welcome to Sprague Woodturning. My name is Jim. Welcome to my channel. So this week we're going to do some more resin stuff. This is a cherry burl. The bark has come off of it and it's been kiln dried. See that, zoom in there. It's got these really cool bumps on it. So anyway, the thing is, as you can see, it's low on one side. So what I want to do is extend this rim with glow-in-the-dark resin. So that's what we're going to do today. Hopefully you can take something away from this. The idea is to use the least amount of resin that I possibly can use, because it's not cheap. So anyway, that's next. Well, hello everybody. Hopefully you're all having a good week. So yeah, this is cherry burl, and it was kiln dried, and I took it out of my dry stock. But of course, before we can do any resin work on it, it was coated in an end grain sealer by Seal, or by UC Coating, sorry. So that's all got to come off, because I certainly want the resin to penetrate in areas that it needs to. And if that end grain sealer is on there, it probably will have some issues with it. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, just using a parting tool to clean up the tenon. That way, when it's mounted in the chuck, it won't be all wobbly. And again, I'm using a 5/8 bowl gouge by David Ellsworth. And I get this question a lot. Why am I turning on the outboard end of the lathe? And it's because I'm left-handed. So it's not comfortable for me to work over the lathe bed. So this is a 20-inch general and has left-hand threads on the outboard end. So it will work for left-handed turners. And that's the main reason why I bought this lathe. Yeah, so I'm just using a little burr that goes in my Dremel tool here to clean out any bark inclusions that were in this burl, because I want the resin to go down in there. And it does a good job. And for the areas where the bark was, I use this brass brush, and it does a good job removing pretty much all the material that's left behind after the bark comes off. And it really kind of cleans it up and gives it a really good appearance. Yeah, here I'm just making sure there's no sharp edges for the next step. Careful now. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to work. It should. I've been stabilizing wood for years, and I like to use these marbles. And so what I do is, if you're getting low on stabilizing resin or this epoxy, what I would do was throw this in right in the bowl, the marbles, when I was doing the stabilizing resin, and it would absolutely take up a lot of the room. That way you didn't need huge amounts of it. So what I'm going to do is put these marbles in the base of this, fairly thick, and then put the 6mm poly on top of it, 2 sheets of it. Then take the bowl, shove it down into it, and try and make sure that the marbles kind of fill in this area here on the bottom of the bowl. And then put plastic on the inside, marbles again, and pour the resin around it. It shouldn't take that much. So that's what I'm doing, if you're wondering. So yeah, if you were doing stabilizing resin, those marbles would have taken up a huge amount of area. And then if you fill this completely to the top with these marbles again, when you pour the resin in, you don't need a huge amount of it. So that's why I've been doing it. Okay, so originally I was going to use a smaller bucket for this to go into, but I just did kind of a test run and it just didn't seem to work right. So I'm going to go to a bigger bucket, and I'm also going to install the marbles first. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to take 6mm poly, stick it inside the bowl, put this inside the bowl as well, bring that 6mm poly, that's vapor barrier if you don't know what that is. It's a heavy duty plastic. And then just curl it over the edge and hot melt glue it in place. The marbles will do two things. It'll take up all this volume of space. I plan on pouring around here and not in the center. And that should wick by the sides. I'm not going to hot melt glue this in place. And it should fill all these voids that we have in the bottom. This one's here. Anyway, that's what I'm doing in theory. I'm not sure if it'll work. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. Now I was originally going to do 2 of these, but it's so thick that it's not easy to kind of bend it to where you want it. So I think I'm just going to go with one. Hopefully there's no holes in it. Something like that. As far as that goes. That pretty much works for me, just doing that. Thing is, we don't want this to encroach onto the side, so we want it to be tight. Because of course I want the resin to sit here. And hopefully I've removed enough sharp edges that it's not going to cut the plastic here. Because we're going to have a big mess. That's for sure, if it is cut. Yeah, I hope there's enough room for the resin to sneak by any of these areas here to fill in the bottom. If not, hopefully it'll go around and then fill that one on the base. But that's heavy enough that it shouldn't lift when the resin gets put in too. So I'm just going to pretty this up a little bit. I might even run some tape around here to try and keep that tight, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I've just used this Scotch tape, packing tape, and I've gone all around the outside here 2 or 3 times, and that's tightened up the plastic so that hopefully it's not going to interfere with our resin pour. There's one spot there that kind of bothers me, but I think it's going to be all right. Okay, so this is the bucket we're going to use. Ew, still got cactus juice on them. They're going to try and clear a spot where the tendon's going to sit. I'm sure it's probably going to move. There, and what I can do is I can put marbles in behind this plastic to build it out. And so far my experience with Designer Epoxy, that's who I'm going to use again today, you know, it doesn't seem to get real hot. So hopefully this isn't going to melt, this plastic, and everything will be all right. but I am a little worried. Yeah, and you know, this is a pain, there's no doubt about it. But epoxy isn't cheap either. I think we're ready to finally mix up some epoxy. It's a lot of work. Let's hope that it actually does work. Okay, so we're using the Galaxy Purple Forever Glow. Look, I'm actually going to use a measuring device. I don't know how much of this to put in. I'm going to put in 3, I think. Well, let's just try that. Now, of course, this is glow-in-the-dark pigment. Hopefully, it glows, unlike my first, or sorry, I guess my second video on resin. Yeah, I'm really glad that I didn't put any more in there. So anyway, this is probably not going to be enough. Matter of fact, I'm pretty darn sure that it's not going to be enough. And again, like I said last time, it has a long open work time, so you know what? That's good. So yeah, hopefully we haven't put any holes in the plastic. So that's 24 ounces. I am going to mix up more, but it's not going to need that much more. Okay, so this is another 12. See where we're at after this. Again, try to keep the epoxy out of the marbles. Okay, so what I've done here is I've actually cut up another old bucket I've had, and that's actually pushing out on the sidewalls. That way this should stay even on the outside, and I just use some tuck tape to hold it together. So that seems to be working pretty good. Let's get it in the pressure pot. Yeah, I can see that level's dropping already. So I think I'll mix up a little bit more, and then it should be good to go from there. Okay, any bets? What's going on here? Huh. The inside here is all kind of sprayed with resin. But the resin's fine. Yeah, see, it's all resin in here. It's kind of weird. I can't explain that. It's atoms. All right, let's get it out and see what we're looking at. No, sir. What happened here? At least the resin didn't drop. It doesn't make any sense to me. How am I going to get that out of there and not ruin my pot? I don't know if there was some sort of a reaction. Or I don't understand that. The only thing I can think is some of these marbles had some of the cactus juice on it. And did the resin react with it? I don't know, it's weird. Here's the bottom, it's completely encased in resin. Good thing is this didn't leak, but I just don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand why there's resin all through the pressure pot. I actually thought that it would release from the plastic easier than this. There we go. There, actually did. This is really close to the top. Oh well, I guess we're just gonna have to live with it. Yeah, where this plastic isn't folded over on itself, it's working fine. Comes right off, quite easy actually. Just where it's folded over on itself, it's sticking. And you know, again, I don't see any bubbles. Just coming off alright, I guess. Anyway, it worked, and that was the main thing. My main worry was, will it work? And it did. So that's awesome. So here's the bottom of the lid, and it's all splashed up onto the lid. And same thing down inside of here. We didn't lose massive amounts. I'm just kind of baffled because the casting itself looks great. And so the only thing I'm thinking is that stabilizing resin, the resin that was still on the marbles, that was inside, I spilt a little bit of the epoxy on the marbles on the inside, must have reacted and started, I don't know, it's weird, really weird. Anyway, my new pot's got resin all through it now. Oh. Anyway, all you resin experts out there, let me know your thoughts on that. Because I don't know. I'm a little baffled. Yeah, so here I'm using the Easy Wood Finisher, and basically when I'm doing these resin projects, I'm using the 5/8 bowl gouge on the inside as basically a roughing tool, and then I'm going to this finisher, and it seems to do a really good job. I do have to sharpen the cutter, and I might try and cover that in the next video. I'm sure I should be able to sharpen it with my diamond stone. Anyway, we'll see if I can, and I'll record it and I'll give you the results of it. Yeah, so this is the outside, and so I'm shear scraping the outside, and I know that I already did it once, but you know, I find when you're working on these bowls, and all bowls in general, once you go to the inside and take the inside out, it seems to leave some stress in the bowl, and the bowl tends to warp again. So then you have to go on the outside and just touch it up. And I'm just using some shear scraping cuts there to do that. And it does a good job on the outside. I sometimes get the impression that all I do is ever sand as a wood turner. That's 60 to 800. Yeah, so using the 3.5-inch dimple discs again from sandpaper.ca. And again, there's a link in the description for 10% off your next order. Just use code INLAYGEM. And I really like these discs because they wrap around the sanding pad, and you tend to get less dig-ins with them, and I highly recommend them. And just like I always do, I'm going forward and reverse with the lathe and the direction of the sanding pad, changing between grits. And that's my little air-powered sander to get into those tight areas right at the very base of the bowl. Trying the Marlin sanding sealer again on this project. And I've thinned it out this week with 50/50 with lacquer thinner, actually. Yeah, so this is a Yorkshire Grit Microfine abrasive. It's supposed to give you a finish around 1,000. So that's why I wanted to use that this week. I had already sanded the 800, so I didn't really see the point of using the regular Yorkshire Grit. First time using OB Shine Juice. I'll put a few more coats on and we'll come back. Okay, so I'm having some issues. I was doing the OB Shine Juice, and the problem is that this is actually, I don't know what this is. Anyway, this is probably about 1/4 of an inch, and of course the way it's a friction polish. So putting that heat in there trying to cure that shellac is actually causing this to go soft and move around. So that's no good. I did, I do have the be-all buffing system. So here's some brown triple E, and I've got the pad mounted in my drill. And I did go around, and it really has leveled things off nicely. So I'm just going to take a couple more passes with the triple E, and then I'm going to use the white diamond buffing pad, and then I think that's it. I think we'll have ourselves a really nice finish. I don't know if that's this resin. I don't know what the deal is with that. If this was thicker, maybe that wouldn't be an issue, but I believe it's around 1/4 inch. No, so it's 3/8 actually. So anyway, I think we're going to get it. There's just going around and trying it in spots here, it certainly has cleared it up. So that's what we're going to do next. Yeah, so I've never used any of the be-all buffing pads on the channel here so far. Usually I don't need to use them, but in this case, you know, I think that from now on I'm going to use them on all of my resin projects. So you start with triple E, and then now I'm at white diamond. There is another pad for using the wax, the carnauba wax, but I'm going to pass on that. So that finish is still on there. What I've done is just take it a little bit off and leveled it. So anyway, let's get the bottom done. So yeah, parting it off the waste block. The only time that I actually get nervous when I'm using this method. And onto my handy dandy vacuum chuck from One Way Manufacturing. Highly recommend getting a vacuum system. I know I say that a lot, but, and you know, they're not cheap, but if you're doing any amount of bowls, I highly recommend getting one. Yeah, and I went ahead and put a couple of coats of OB Shine Juice actually on the base of the bowl too. Let's see if this thing actually glows. Check that out. Is that ever cool? And that was literally, I just put that out in the sun for 30 seconds maybe. It's kind of cool how you can see all these little ridges up in here. So it looks like from the looking down on it, that's how it looks like. There's the very bottom. I can't really pick that up. And what's really cool about this is, of course, it's to look at it in natural light, it's pink in color, but it glows blue when it's dark. So that's really cool. Anyway, that's awesome. I'm glad it worked. Well, alright, that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know every time that I do one of these resin projects, I seem to learn something. Again, this week, with it being only 3/8 of an inch thick, and I don't know if that is the reason. The manufacturer says that it's fully cured 5 to 7 days, and it certainly wasn't that when I was turning this. But the heat from doing that friction polish the OB Shine juice really caused this rim to warp, and it may have something to do with the design of it. It's 3/4 resin and then 1 part wood here, so I don't know if that was just causing that to go kind of warp, and then of course you can't really put a good friction polish on it when that happens. So with that said, let's bring this in here and show you a last little look at this. Again, this is Cherry Burl with Designer Epoxy, and it's got a glow pigment in it. That's kind of cool right there, how the bark is suspended. Hopefully the camera picks that up. And you know, it performed well. I think next time what I'm going to do is any of the places where there's the resin, I'm just going to use the Be All buffing system, and that's the Triple E and the white diamond powder with my buffing wheels, and just buff out anything that may be there after the 800 grit and the Yorkshire grit after that. Take out any fine scratches, and then I'll probably go back to my wood bowl finish on projects like this. The OB Shine juice, you know, I know a lot of people are using it, and I know that it's a good product, so I'm not going to knock that in any way. I think what I probably would do with that is use it all on a wooden project, or maybe all on a resin project. And anyway, I'll try that in the future and see where that goes. But yeah, this is 9 by 4 inches tall, and you know, it's a beautiful little bowl. The weird thing is though that the resin is pinkish in color, but when it goes into the dark room or into a dark room, it glows blue. So that's kind of neat. I don't know anything about that, so I'm sure it's just got something to do with the pigment in it. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you learned something. I know I certainly did. So there's that. And we're in the home stretch for the 15,000 subscriber giveaway bowl. It's taken longer than I had anticipated, that's for sure. And this is walnut with mussel shells and copper pipe. And all you have to do is subscribe to my channel. And then when I hit 15,000, I'll draw a name and ship it worldwide. So yeah, that's it. Don't forget about the links to Starbond and sandpaper.ca and all the other affiliate links in the description below for the products that I use here in the shop. And yeah, so that's it for this week. I'm not sure what it'll be next week. Well, maybe next 2 weeks might try and do maybe some Christmas themes. Why not? Christmas is around the corner here, so maybe that's what we'll do. So anyway, that's it. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. And don't forget that bell, you know, when I put up a new video. See ya.